Welcome to the Kenobi podcast. I'm back, Chris Kenobi here. Behind me is the man with the master plan. Doesn't need an introduction. You know who he is. If you don't know who he is, I'll tell you. His name is Obi Wan Kenobi. Obi Wan Kenobi was a master in the Jedi Order. He was a Padawan learner under Qui-Gon Jinn. In Obi-Wan's time, he was the one who trained the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader, but he also transcended to the Force and even took care of a young Luke Skywalker, who we know today. Obi-Wan, say hi to the people, please.
Hello there.
Okay, listen, I did something for you guys so you wouldn't have to, because I'm your friend, and because I hope, and I'm asking you right now, like and subscribe and share, please. Like. Help me out. Now, here's what I did for you, and I hope you do like and subscribe for this. This is President Donald Trump National Security Strategy. It's on the website right now, on the White House website. I read all 33 pages because I didn't think you wanted to go through that. I didn't think it was fair to you to put you through it. So because I care about you, like, subscribe, and share, I did it for you. I'm just going to give you pretty much what I got here. I got 10 points real quick that really sums up this national security strategy. And I want to give it to you because it's got some implications and complications. The implications is biblical proportions. The complication is it's going to complicate your life. It's going to complicate my life. And it's going to complicate a lot of migrants. Now, let's talk about this. The first thing he talked about was that America now is going to start looking out for America. America is not helping anybody. I'm paraphrasing. The whole thing is being paraphrased. But America right now has to look out for America for too long. For too many administrations. America thought to be strong, you got to interfere in world politics. America, the previous administrations all thought that to make America strong, you got to get involved and be the policeman for the world. So you know what? He's not doing that no more. America is going to start looking out for America. Now, you know what? That sounds pretty good. It sounds nice. But when America doesn't get involved in other things, sooner or later, the problem knocks on America's door anyway. So we need to have our hands somewhere in some of these pots. That's just making good sense here, people. And you know what? We just also, I don't know if you heard today, but our president just withdrew 35 ambassadors from countries all over the world. He told them all to come home. Basically, you're clipped. So all these ambassadors are all coming home. You know what that's going to do? It's going to destabilize. It's going to destabilize the whole darn world. But that's okay because that's who he is. And that's what he does. You know, the thing about our president is that I have to say is that that's the kind of person he is. He cares about Americans. It doesn't matter, he said, that this is the new strategy because for the past 9 months, his strategy's been all about international affairs. His strategy's been about going and getting a $400 million jet. His strategy's been about trying to get hotels and things at other places. His strategy's been about ABS or IBS or whoever that guy was that killed that Washington Post a reporter, Chicago, and he had the guy come over to the White House, and these people are putting foreign military bases on American soil. So you know what? When you talk about that you're looking out for American first, what has been, even Marjorie Taylor Greene said he's not doing America first, and she was one of his sergeant lieutenants. So I don't understand what he means by that, and frankly, neither does she. And I'll take that with a grain of salt. Number two, he said that with the fact that we're not getting involved in everybody's business anymore, he's going to be stopping America's soft power. What's soft power? Soft power is the indirect way that America influenced other countries to get our footprint and our stamp on these nations for national security interests or for strategical planning. Meaning, in some nations, we'll give you medicine. You let us put a base here. And some nations will give you kids lunch. We'll give you medication for AIDS. We'll help you with your school kids. We'll give you supplies. In all exchange for America being able to put its footprint on these nations strategically or internationally for political reasons. But he stopped that. He stopped that when he first came aboard, so this ain't no new business to me. He cut USAID. Those poor Sudanese kids over there died. Some of them did die already, people. If you guys thought that was a good idea, I don't know, but some of those kids died because we stopped sending that food to them, and we had tons of it down at the dock. That's wrong, and it's some serious wrong business, but he's got to have to meet the man about it one day. So he's going to stop the soft power. Now, the next thing he talked about was America. Now he's focused on domestic issues. One of the domestic issues he wants America to come back to its spiritual roots. He wants America to come back to Christianity. He wants America to come back to a national Christianity. Why? Because, paraphrasing again, Christians have better families. I don't know if you read the news, but our families are just as dysfunctional as anybody else's. But he said Christians make better families. So, and because they have the Christian way to be raised, okay? So he wants America to go back to that. Now, I don't know how you're going to do that, but I know a lot of you Christians are probably saying that's a good thing. America was born Christian. America's got its roots in Christianity. But let's talk, there's a difference between Christianity and the gospel of Jesus Christ. I would say that. You know why? Because Jesus wasn't about forcing nobody to pray. Jesus wasn't about forcing nobody to stand up. Jesus wasn't about forcing anybody to make a pledge to him or to do anything that they did not want to do. In Jesus' mind, it's all about free will. So when you're talking about forcing people to do things and you're saying that's Christian, there's a difference between Christian and gospel, in my personal opinion, and this is our podcast. So let's keep going. The next thing we're talking about is that he said that he's been the president of peace. Yes, he's been the president of peace. The man said 8 wars. I stopped 8 wars. But you know what? I have to tell you people, if you believe that, because he lied to you. And I know you're shocked about that. I know you're not used to him lying. But out of the 8 wars that he listed in his national security strategy, 3 of those wars are still going on today. He did list Cambodia versus Thailand, and they're fighting, shooting guns right now. He did mention the DRC versus Rwanda. They're shooting guns right now. He mentioned Israel and Palestine, and they're shooting guns right now. So, and the other 5 that he mentioned are so tenuous, it won't take but one person throwing a stone over the other military zone for bullets to start flying again. So I'm sorry. He didn't do 8. Maybe he did 5, but sooner or later, those guys will probably go back to fighting too. I hope not. It's not my wish that he's wrong in this, by the way. Now, let me keep going. Now, one of the things that he said is very important here. He said that he's gonna stop DEI. Okay, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know that. He said because it's discriminatory against white people. And paraphrasing, he said it's discriminatory because in his mind, and a lot of people's mind, they think that DEI is for black people. They don't realize that DEI goes for veterans. DEI goes for people that are mentally challenged. DEI goes for people with wheelchairs. DEI goes for people of all different races, colors, and nationalities and life circumstances. Not just black people, but he does believe that. And he said this, he's going to root out, that's in here, he's going to root out people that do DEI. We're going to we're going to find them, and we're going to root them out. Now, the next time you go into your local supermarket and you see some nice person that may be a little mentally challenged and they're packing the bags because ShopRite believes in DEI and they're letting them do it. If you don't see that person anymore, it could be because ShopRite got rooted out by the president. But I'm going to say, I don't know, but I thank ShopRite for doing that. It's wonderful that they do that. It's wonderful that they give people a chance. It's wonderful that some places make wheelchair access for people with wheelchairs, the ramps, and in the bathrooms and things like that. That's all DEI. I digress. So that's what he said. One of the things he also said, I'm paraphrasing here, as he said, the age of migration is over. Okay? We don't want people coming to our country. We don't want you coming to our country because some of you could be rapists. Some of you could be murderers. Some of you could be MS gang members. And maybe a couple of you could be nice people, but we can't take the chance anymore. No more migration. The age of migration is over. We don't want anybody coming into our country. That's paraphrasing, but that's in here. Now, so, but he did say, and let me just say this, okay? The reason why he probably don't want migrations, like, the immigrants, the ones like the Somalians, because he said the Somalians come from shithole countries. And he said Africa's a shithole country. He don't want Africa anymore. I get to Africa. And he said people come over here from these shithole countries and they complain. But it don't matter where you're from. If you got $5 million for a Trump card, you can get in America overnight. If you got overnight, I don't know how long it'll take, but I probably would hazard to guess that if somebody put $5 million in his pocket, okay, I'm sure they'll get into our country. Now, we don't really gonna vet these people. The only thing we're vetting is that their $5 million are good. So you don't know who you're letting in your country for the $5 million, but he's hazarding to guess that if people got $5 million, they're not your actual non-white migrant, and he's okay with that. So that's what our president said. Now, so the next thing he said, and we talked about this, we talked about the wars, he talked about the tax cuts. He said the tax cuts and the big beautiful bill were for people like you and me, and that was part of his national security strategy. I know you don't want to hear it, but he lied to you again, because I ain't got no tax cuts, and you're not going to get no tax cuts. And he's talking about no tax on Social Security, that's a lie. And the tax on tips are kind of freaky. It's only for a certain amount of time. So I'm sorry. There's no tax cuts. The tax cuts went to the billionaires. The tax cuts went to oligarchs, and at the expense of health care, at the expense of SNAP, at the expense of Medicaid. Now, that's the truth. It's in your local news. You can go to Fox News and get that, or you can just look up the big, beautiful bill and see where all the cuts are. It's right there on the net. You don't got to believe me, and it's not fake news. Okay, so let's keep going. So then the next thing he talked about was Africa, okay? And he said, listen, to paraphrase, he said, we're not going to be giving Africa anything anymore, okay? Africa, if you can't do something for us, we can't do nothing for you. So Africa is going to have to start coughing up coin. Now, I'm sorry to say that we know African history. The white people went over there and they took all the diamonds, and the queen took all the diamonds, and Shiro took all the diamonds because all he saw was people black there, and he didn't think they knew how to read and write, so they took the diamonds, and they took all the wealth out of Africa. All the wealth has been stripped, okay, to the point that it's a shithole country. Now you ask these people for more, and they're going to have to find some more diamonds somewhere, or some gold or something. Why don't you ask I'm sorry, Brother Charles, your mother got those diamonds, and the countries have been asking for those diamonds back that she got when those people went into those mines. I don't think it's fair, but it's up to you, King. Now, the next thing he talked about is going to be drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill, because we need more energy. We need to be energy dependent. Doesn't matter about the fact that we're talking about the ozone layer with coal. It doesn't matter that we're talking about offshore oil drilling and the dangers that could do to our sea life. No. Drill, baby, drill. Coal, baby, coal. And we're going to get rid of those windmills because they're killing too many of the birds. I like birds and he likes birds, and birds are good for birds. So therefore, we're going to stop those windmills too, people. And that's what he said there. So now also one of the greatest things that we're going to do in our country, he's already made America great again. He said now what he's going to do is he's going to make Europe great again. Because he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's in this 33 pages, Europe is turning into a shithole area. Because Europe got too many non-white migrants coming in there. And in a couple decades, and I quote his phrase, Europe will be unrecognizable because they let in too many non-white people in Europe, and they're going to be too poor to take care of themselves, and they're going to be too poor to pay their NATO share because they're letting in too many migrants. So we're going to try to use our influence to show Europe how to be great again by not letting in all those migrants. Listen, the bottom line is, all you black people stay home. All you Mexicans stay home. Stay wherever you are. Don't come to Europe for a better life. Don't come to America for a better life. And then Europe will be great again. I'm telling you, it's in here. You don't have to doubt me, okay? So then the next thing he's talking about is the Ukraine war. That's one of the wars. That would have been number 9, but it's one of the wars that he couldn't stop. Now, the reason why he said he couldn't stop, and I'll paraphrase this again, is because Europe and the rest of the world is treating Russia poorly, okay? Mr. Putin's a good man. Mr. Putin is a kind man. Mr. Putin's a fair man. Mr. Putin is not the kind of man that killed political adversaries. Mr. Putin is not a man that would kill people, little babies in nurseries or kids at school. Mr. Putin is not the kind of man that would shoot rockets in schoolyards, in hospitals. No, that's not Mr. Putin. He said that the world needs to be nice to Mr. Putin. I'm paraphrasing, but it's in this report. Europe needs to be nice to Mr. Putin, and America's going to be nice to Mr. Putin too, because that's what we should be doing to Mr. Putin, and we should leave Mr. Putin alone. Now, that's what he said. I don't know why he's so nice to Mr. Putin, but I'm sure Mr. Putin knows. Anyway, the biggest thing that he talked about here, and now I'm going to leave you with this. He said that his whole national security strategy is based on something that you can look up to. It's called the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine. It's taken from the late president, Mr. James Monroe. Now, I don't know why I first tried to figure out why is our president getting involved with James Monroe, but he did say it's one of his heroes. I don't know why James Monroe is one of his heroes. All I know about James Monroe is that he had over 70 slaves while he was president, while he was in the White House behind the sacred desk. He had 70 slaves. I don't understand that, Mr. Monroe. But one day, Mr. Monroe is going to have to meet the man. Now, that being said, the Monroe Doctrine and what's going to be called the Trump Doctrine basically is splitting up the world in regions. Basically, America would take the Western Hemisphere. China would have its own region. Russia would have its own region. And Europe will have the rest. Okay? Now, everybody stays in their own region. And nobody comes over their region. And nobody threatens anybody else's region by competition. And if you do, then that could be an act of war. But everybody stays in their own region. America's going to have the Western Hemisphere, which in some of the countries are El Salvador, Argentina, Ecuador, Peru, Venezuela. That's why we're trying to get Venezuela right now and have a coup, get rid of that dude that's in there, because that's part of the Western Hemisphere. That's part of the Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine. Mexico and Canada. That's why he keeps saying he wants Canada to be the next state, because that's part of the doctrinal procedures. Okay? So, and then he said, listen, I'm going to give Russia's going to have his own doctrine. It doesn't matter what Russia does to Poland. It doesn't matter what Russia does to Ukraine, as long as Russia don't cross into our hemisphere. Okay, we will still help Taiwan, but you know what? Taiwan, we don't need you like we used to, because we're making our own chips. So we'll help you, but we really don't know how long. Okay, paraphrase again. Now, here's the biggest thing out of this, and I think that some people that love our president because, you know, he's such a staunch supporter of Israel. He said himself he loves Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu loves him. And he helped Israel when Israel bombed Iran and kept bombing, trying to get rid of nuclear facilities that we didn't get rid of. Then we went in with our B-52s and we bombed them too. And we still didn't get rid of those nuclear facilities, and we don't even know where they moved the uranium to. So even if we did get rid of the facilities, they still got the uranium, but I digress. So what he's saying is about Israel, this is very important to know, and it's in this document. Israel is going to have to start looking out for itself. The Middle East, he said, for too long, America has gotten involved in Middle East affairs, and right now it's time for America to stop getting involved in Middle East affairs, because we got a lot of relationships with the Arabs now, and they got more money. And you know what? We're energy dependent, so we don't need the oil that's in the Middle East like we used to. So we don't need to get involved. So Israel, and it's in here. I wonder what you evangelicals think about that. You're always touting that America's blessed, because if you bless Israel, God's going to bless you. Well, our president just said in this document right here that Israel's going to have to fend for itself. So how many of you in his prayer band and his prayer warriors and his prayer council, did you counsel him about this? Did you guys tell him from a Christian perspective, this is wrong? Paula White, did you tell them that this is wrong? Because I know you follow the Bible, Paula, even though you're living in adultery, but that's none of my business, Paula. But I'm just asking if you did it. Kenneth Copeland, did you do it? Because, no, you didn't do it because you're not right in the mind. TD did, no, he's not a pastor no more. I don't know if he did it. So I don't know what Christians did or not. But I also know my YouTube podcasters that are touting the cause of Christ and always talking good about our president and talking up to our president and how he loves Israel and how he loves Christianity. I'm wondering, how do you feel right now? Are you going to finally find something to criticize him about because he says Israel's going to have to start fending for themselves? Obi Wan, do you want to get involved in this, please?
Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics.
I got to do it all by myself. Okay, people, that's the national security strategy. And I think personally, again, read it yourself. It's on the White House, 33 pages. I read them all. Now, I think this is a bad strategy. Why do I think it's a bad strategy? I think it's a bad strategy because, once more, it's isolationism. It pulls America back. It retracts America. It retracts America from having our footprint all over the world to make sure that America's national interests are protected. And we did some of that not through wars and not through men and not through weapons, but we did that with that soft power, that USAID that he canceled. So I think this is a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea when you start criticizing our allies in Europe and basically telling them that you got nothing but disdain for Europe because you're letting in too many non-whites. And let's face it, they do have disdain for Europe because if you go back to the WhatsApp text messages, they were all talking bad about Europe on those text messages by Mr. Hegseth and so forth. So no, they got nothing but disdain for Europe, but it doesn't look good coming from the president that I think you're letting in too many poor people. And in a couple decades, you're not going to be able to pay your bills because you're helping out too many of the you-know-whats. So I'm saying I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong because the implications are biblical. Biblical high, and why do I say that to my evangelicals and also anyone else? If I go back and look at end time strategy, if I go back and I do think about the rapture and the revelation of the chosen one, if I talk about the 7-year tribulation period, the world, according to the Old Testament, my Jewish brothers, the Torah, and the New Testament, is going to be broken up in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, 5, 7, and 9. Is going to be broken up into 10 regions, okay? Each is going to be 10 world leaders, and they're going to slice up the entire world into 10 regions. Why am I concerned about that now? Because these are the seeds of that. The president of the United States is positioning the world to start thinking that it's okay to break the world up in regions and everybody stays on their own side of town. So there are biblical implications here. The other biblical implication, if my evangelical brothers and sisters are right, and God has only blessed America and staved off the judgment on America because America was helping Israel, well, the president said that Israel's got to go for himself. And I will also tell you that America is not mentioned where Russia and China is mentioned in the Old Testament and the New Testament in terms of end times prophecy. America is nowhere in the Bible to be mentioned. The only one mention is not a nice one. It's not a good mention that happens to America. But I'm not going to go there because I don't want to get anybody worked up, and it's 2 days from Christmas. So now, that's all I have to say about this. This is not a good strategy for Christians. It's not a good strategy for America. It's not a good strategy for the gospel of Jesus Christ. Jesus was not about making anybody do anything. Jesus was not about doing that. All this is going to do from a Christian perspective is bring more division into our country, and people are going to reject the gospel, the true gospel of Jesus Christ, because they're going to think that it's weaponized and it's making people live a certain way. And again, Jesus wasn't about making anybody do anything. You have to choose the chosen one. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I'm telling you, Israel's in some serious problems now because the president got everything he wanted from you, Netanyahu, and he said you're on your own. Now, that's it, people. Have a happy holiday, okay? Like, subscribe, and share, okay? Be nice to somebody that you don't know. Be kind to somebody that you don't care about. Show the love that you have inside of you for everyone else to other people. That's what the holidays are really about. It's about showing love. And sometimes the best way to show love is not to people that expect love from us, but the ones that don't. That's something to think about. You think about it. I'll catch you later. Bye.